Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel or just simply not yet subscribed, my name's Brittany and definitely make sure to hit the subscribe button. So today we're going to be talking about dreams and reoccurring dreams. I have some of my own to share with you. Not just reoccurring dreams, but prophetic dreams. So we're going to talk about all of that. But first, I have a new email for you guys to send any paranormal experiences. Now this email only send your experience in if you would like me to share it, because I want to start sharing one paranormal experience from you guys, like whether it's a fairy sighting, a ghost sighting, just something freaky happening on each video. So if that's something that you guys want to be involved with, which I would love, definitely make sure to send me an email, and this email is going to be exclusively for that. Now, 60 to 75% of all American adults have reoccurring dreams. Women are more likely to experience reoccurring dreams than men. While some can be pleasant, 77% of reoccurring dreams are negative. Dreams are a mixture of desires, fears, wants, stresses, memories. Sometimes they are actually prophetic. Now, whether this comes from God or a guardian angel or a spirit, it's still something where you end up dreaming of something that's going to happen in the future. First, I'm going to tell you guys about some famous cases of people who had prophetic dreams, and then I'm going to dive into my recurring dreams and my prophetic dreams. So the first one was about Caligula. Might be pronouncing that wrong, but he was a Roman emperor who reigned from 37 to 41 AD. He was seen as immature and impulsive. So Caligula was said to be an insane emperor who kind of just offed whoever he wanted to. Caligula was someone who would sleep with other man's wives and brag about it. So quite disgusting. He wasted state money while the poor starved, and he even made his own personal horse a priest. So he was a joke. So one day, Caligula's antics just crossed the line, because he crossed several lines. But one day he took it way too far. He boldly announced to the Senate that he was going to move to Egypt, where people would worship him as a god. Now, this would leave Rome without a resident emperor, and it would reduce its political power. The Senate decided that this was the last straw, and they formed a plan to assassinate him. So during this time when they were planning to assassinate him, Caligula had a prophetic dream. In the dream, he stood before the Roman god Jupiter, who sat on a throne. Now, this planet was very important to the Romans. Just to show you how important Jupiter was derived from Zeus. So Zeus was the leader, the king of all Greek gods, and though his Roman form was Jupiter, which meant Jupiter was the king of all Roman gods. Now, Jupiter disapproved of Caligula, and he kicked him down to earth. So he was like, yeah, you're not going to be a god. So Caligula ignored this dream. He kind of just brushed it off. The very next day, a group of high-ranking conspirators approached Caligula while he was talking to a group of young actors. Now, it's not sure exactly what happened next, but it's generally agreed upon that Caligula died in a similar manner to Julius Caesar, who was stabbed 30 times. So these people, they didn't like him very much. Shortly after Caligula's death, his loyal bodyguards, angered at his death, went out of control and went on a rampage. They killed his murderers and innocent bystanders. Bodyguards proclaimed Caligula's uncle as the next emperor, and that would prevent any of the conspirators that overthrew Caligula to completely overthrow him. But it's pretty crazy. He literally had a dream right before he died that was like, no dude, you are crossing a line here. You're playing with fire. You're not worthy. And he was brutally murdered the next day. The next one we're going to talk about is about the Titanic. Now, I've never met anybody who doesn't know what the Titanic is, even if they've never seen the movie or anything like that, but they know what the Titanic is. The Titanic sank in 1912, and it took over 1,500 people with it. The Titanic was marked the unsinkable ship, and the reason why it sunk was because it wasn't completely unsinkable, obviously. And where the iceberg hit was actually a part of the ship that was unprotected. The night before the Titanic were to hit the iceberg, Isaac Gerald Frauenthal boarded the Titanic. He had this not so great dream. In the dream, the Titanic crashed into a large unidentifiable object, and then it started sinking. Passengers started screaming and shouting. So even though Isaac had this nightmare, he still decided to board the Titanic with his brother Henry. But on the night of April 10th, Isaac was told that the ship was struck by an iceberg. In the first hour or so after the ship had hit that iceberg, people were panicking, obviously, because the ship is sinking. Even more so, they had such security in the ship because it was unsinkable. So how could this happen? Now, Isaac was panicking. He stormed into his brother's cabin and insisted that they escaped on lifeboats. Henry, who was irritated for Isaac waking him up, he couldn't see any logic in doing that, as nobody else around them was in a hurry. Henry ended up giving in to Isaac's demand, and together they had hurried to the lifeboats. When they reached the lifeboats, they learned that only the women and the children were allowed onto the lifeboats because there was a limited number of lifeboats. And while the lifeboats were being lowered, the two men actually jumped onto them. So they broke the rules, which, I mean, life or death, right? And they also broke women's ribs in the process. Then floated in the lifeboat, they watched over 1,000 of passengers, including women and children, who couldn't get onto one. By the time that they reached land, the story has already spread, and they reached a lot of scrutiny because they decided to jump onto the lifeboat instead of allowing women and children to go first. But I mean, if the lifeboat's already kind of being lowered, like I said, life or death. Now, this is an example where he had this dream and he should have not went. Now, I'm going to tell you first about my reoccurring dreams. Now, the first one, when I was really little, I think it was actually before elementary school, but it might have been like really early elementary school, so like 5, 6 or so. And I would have, at this time, my sister and I shared a bedroom. We had 2 beds that were on both sides of the walls. So my sister was terrified of Freddy Krueger. And for some reason, I had this really strange dream. I wasn't scared of Freddy Krueger. So he's really twisted. Don't get me wrong. Definitely twisted. And don't agree with what he does, but he does it in like a comedic fashion. Like his jokes and stuff are like comedic. Kind of like Pennywise in the original It, not so much the newer It. But anyways, so in this dream that I've had multiple times and it never has changed, for some reason, my parents' house was walking distance to Price Chopper. Now, let me tell you, my parents' house was not walking distance from Price Chopper. But in this dream that was so vivid, because my dreams are so vivid, it was walking distance from Price Chopper. So my sister and I walked to Price Chopper, and way too young for doing so, but we walked to Price Chopper, and Freddy Krueger was a cashier. Now, I remember looking at my sister and being like, no, like, we can't go into Freddy Krueger's line. We can't. And she's like, no, like, we have to play it cool. We have to go in through his line. Otherwise, he's going to know that we're children. He's going to come after us, so we have to go through his line. So we end up going through his line. He cashes us out, and then he follows us. And he follows us back to home, so my parents' house. And I remember, like, telling my mom, like, Freddy Krueger's after us. He's after us. And, like, we, like, booked it home. So we knew he was after us. We went into my parents' closet to hide. And at the time, because they had, like, 2 closet widths, I always pictured it as, like, oh my gosh, they have the biggest closet in the world. Like, there's so much room. So we hid in their closet, which was always filled with a bunch of stuff. So very easy to just, like, hide in. And my mom got a knock on the door. And she answered. And Freddy Krueger's like, are your children home? And my mom's like, no, they're not home. And he's like, well, I need to look. And she lets him in for some reason. And he goes to the closet and he opens the door and he's like digging through the clothes to like get us, and he's almost at us, and I wake up. So that one, I don't know why I've had multiple times. Very strange. Another one that I've had multiple times, but it changes slightly.
Pee.
No, Pete. Is Pete clean? Yeah. Yeah.
Me.
I don't think you can see us.
You can't. Okay, go get change.
Okay, don't pull on it. Don't pull on mommy's phone. Come on, buddy. Come on. You want me to pick you up? I can't pick you up. Can I hold your paw on the stairs?
So my other reoccurring dream is I've had throughout like the span of my life, and it kind of alters sometimes to adapt to what's going on, kind of like who's in my life at that time. So in this dream, if you have ever seen the movie My Soul to Take, great movie, in that movie, the Ripper, the costume of him kind of resembles the monster in this dream. Now my family and I were in this abandoned house, and it was my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, and I. So at this point, I was the youngest. So I was the one that like had to be kept safe, and it was my brother's job to keep me safe. So we would go, like they were preparing for this creature to come and attack. They boarded up windows and sit down with mommy. They boarded up windows, boarded up doors, was just like getting prepared, and I had to go in this room that had like no other entrance or exit, and it was like a hidden room, but it's where they pushed an air conditioner in the I'm talking about my reoccurring dream. My reoccurring dream. It's a very weird dream. They pushed an air conditioner in the only spot that this thing could get in. So, like, I think kind of because, like, air conditioners are heavy, so, like, let's put it there. And the creature just starts to break in, and that's when, or break into, like, where I am, because it's ultimately after me. And that's when I wake up. Now, after Robbie was born, my little brother, it adapted. So it was still that same dream, But now my older brother Mike was outside, and the like larger part of the house with my sister Kayla and my parents, and then I was in the room with Robbie, because now it's my job to protect him, because now he was the youngest. So that dream pops up every once in a while. It's not as common as it used to be. I used to have this dream every single night, so it's very common. Now, those are really the only two reoccurring dreams that I can remember, but I've had prophetic dreams a few times, and it's very strange because the amount of time that it takes for it to like happen is a decent amount, like a year, if not longer. So it's very strange. But the first time that I remember having a prophetic dream, I was working at McDonald's. Now, at that time, I was on track to becoming a store manager, and I wanted to eventually become a district manager. That was my goal, of maybe like eventually own my own chain. But like I had big dreams to stay with the company. Like that was exactly the track that I was on. And I went in this dream. I saw a like hallway filled with boxes, and I was in a completely different environment. I was working somewhere else. I was helping set this store up. Now, I will remember waking up, and I talked to this lady that I had no idea who she was, and I had never seen before. So I remember waking up and being like, that was really weird. I'm not working anywhere else, so why am I gonna, like, where did that come from? So then I was working at Box Lunch, and it was time, or in the beginning, we set up the entire store because it was a brand new store. And it was truck day because we were, doing the store. So I remember hauling boxes, and my boss was, because I was an assistant manager, so the store manager was there, and she was counting boxes and stuff and like moving boxes, and I was helping bring them from the truck to the hallway before we brought them into the store. And I just stopped. Like, I just froze, and the entire dream flashed back. Like I saw it so clearly, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I've seen this before. And I just had to stop and tell her, because I had this dream. I saw this before it happened, and I was so blown away. The other time it happened was also when I worked at Box Lunch, and I was talking to another assistant manager, and I just had to stop mid-conversation and be like, we've had this conversation. I've dreamed of us having this conversation. And it was before I even knew her. It was the eeriest thing. There's another time, it wasn't a prophetic dream, but the only time that I've ever heard somebody's thoughts, like actually heard, because I'm an empath, so I can feel people's energies, I can feel what they're feeling, but I don't hear their thoughts. I was working at Box Lunch, a lot of Box Lunch stories, and I was folding shirts, and another manager was chatting in an associate. So she was talking to the associate. I heard what the associate said before they said it. It sounded like them. It was so loud. And I heard it like where I actually thought they said it. And then they said it out loud. And I just froze. I was so blown away, because that had never happened before, and it's never happened again. But I literally heard what they had said before they said it. So they thought it, and I heard it, and then they said it, and then I heard it out loud when they said it out loud. So very strange. If you guys have had any of those experiences, I really would love to know about them. So make sure that you email me at that new email, and even with like paranormal, like fairies and ghosts and spirits and shadow people and all those things, I would love to hear your stories. And like I said, I kind of want to start this thing where every video I'm telling one of those stories. So it kind of just a way to get you guys more involved in my videos. I also, like, your guys' encounters are my favorite thing to read and learn about, honestly. Also, if you are not following my Instagram or my TikTok, definitely make sure to follow those as well. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. It helps me out so much, you guys. Like this video for me and share, tell your friends and your family. Make sure that bell's on. Until next time, I love you guys.